wish that I freely.
Yeah. Prisoner of Love. Welcome back to At the Round Table. Now, folks, if you should be here for these off the air conversations, you know.
The Prisoner of Love.
You listen to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Just talking about the honey-do list for folks wondering why we're here.
Once you get retired, man, you're not retired, dog.
Man, I have to get a job, man. The honey-do list. I thought that was just a melon in the store. So, again, folks, you listen at the Round Table with me. The caller number here is 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. Yeah, at the Round Table. My brothers, Dr. Bradley is in the house. That's, folks, that is not a cutout there. He is actually here this morning. And the Rhodes Scholar, Rhodes Pierre, is here in the studio. Yes. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good, great.
Hey,
thanks for
I
asking.
have to tell you, Dr. Bradley, Corey came in last week.
Well, really?
Yes.
He's 10 pounds heavier.
Yes, I took your portion.
It did so.
Oh, man, if I would have known that, I would have probably got in from Chicago here, man. Oh, my God. No, I missed Cora?
You missed Corey.
Oh, God.
But you can see it like later on today if you'd like to.
Right. Yeah,
But you're not a first time home
He still has a little of the powder.
Yeah. It's not the gray hair, you know. It's enhanced gray from the powdered donut.
He was like, wow, what is it? I said, yeah, Dr. Bradley's not going to be here today. I told him, I said, you know, if Dr. Bradley was here, I said, the funniest thing is that when Corey comes in, he'd be like, yeah, you have my seat. I mean,
you got on that, huh?
Yeah, I said, man, you would think there was something in that chair that was contagious, man. He'd be out there toasting, laughing at me, sandwiching my head, coffee up here.
No, it was very.
Show him that brotherly love.
Yes.
Wow, I'm sorry I missed her, man. So she has a new, she's a new spot now. New
she's
office?
with the Money Store.
The money store. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of which, she's going to be sponsoring a workshop today, Home Buyer Education, Down Payment Assistance, and Credit Solutions. At today, Saturday, May 11, 2024, 12:30 to 3 p.m. at the Boston Public Library at 690 Adams Street, Boston, Mass. It's being sponsored by Cora Holbrook at the Money Store, as well as Samuel Reimer at KR Realtors in Boston. So like I said, folks, today, and it's free, 12:30 to 3 p.m. at the Boston Public Library, 690 Adams Street. And our own Rhodes Pierre is going to be...
Yes, I'll be making a presentation called the Financial IQ.
Mm-hmm.
And just going to be able to give people basic information about finances and, you know, mortgage and long-term planning, that kind of stuff. You know,
So, my question would be, if I was at that, and I unfortunately, due to my family commitments, I can't make it. Mm-hmm. But where do you guys see the interest rates going?
I think they're going to hold steady. This is my opinion. I have no financial. I think they're going to stay steady for a while. And if they do, I think you might see a cut depending on how things go over the summer as far as the economy. I think you might see a cut in the fall, but nothing significant. I don't think we'll see the 3 that they were projecting.
Okay, and so if I were a home buyer, a prospective home buyer, what would be your recommendations or things that I should do to improve myself for when the interest rates fall, I can be ready to buy?
Well, the added notion that when the general consensus that we came to last week was you should still buy because the value of the home is going to keep going up. You can marry the property but date the rate. So when the rate does change, you can always change the rate. But if you wait until you can keep saving money, but the price of the property is still going to keep going up. And then whether the interest rate goes up or down, you know, like you're still going to be buying the property at a higher rate, at a higher price. At a higher price.
Yeah.
So marry the property, but date the rate.
And you know what's funny? Because like I said, when I bought my first home, I had very good credit, still do, but the rates were at 10%. So I kind of laughed, but the house was $135,000 brand new. So, you know, one of them. So I get it because back then, you know, but now when the average price of a home is $900,000 in the city of Boston, 8% is quite an amount. I mean, I've talked to some officers recently, Dr. Bradley, and I'm glad you're sitting down because you'd be falling down. I was telling him last week that he just bought a home and he put down $200,000 and his mortgage is still $6,800.
Really?
Yes, in Boston. Yes. Because 20%
Yeah.
of something that's over $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're in $200,000 range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my other question would be, what if I'm owning a home, and I have people pursuing me to get my equity out of my home, which avenue you think I should do? Equity loan or equity?
Well, the equity is no longer tax deductible, so I don't know if you want to go there, but it's
okay.
And there was that was one of the other reasons why they wanted, because you have to have other avenues where you can raise capital, have capital being, although the home does build an equity, but to get the equity out of the house is a process.
But it's an expensive process.
Yes, exactly.
That's where I want to go.
Okay, exactly. So
because I have a family member who asked me the question, and my wife, who's a real estate agent, basically said, well, difference between the equity loan and get the equity out of your home. You know what I mean? So a loan, you can actually equity loan, equity line. That's what she was saying.
But you see, the difference is in your case as well as mine, my brother.
Yeah.
Is when our wives are talking, it's sweat equity they're looking for. That's true. Good morning, Jamal. Stand by. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round.
That is true.
Yeah, call. Yeah. Siddiqui? Okay.
Charles Yancey.
Councilor Yancey. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. And I couldn't resist calling in because you have such great people on, especially Brother Jamal and his great work. And the fruition of that work was the organization that now Evandro is heading up. So I wanted to call in to, first of all, thank you for being on the air, dealing with this issue. You've been so consistent in dealing with this for as long as I've known you, and I go back more than a couple of decades.
Yes.
But I also wanted to note that as we celebrate Mother's Day, there's so many of our wives and mothers who've been sacrificing behind the scenes. So first of all, I wanted to wish my wife a happy Mother's Day. Even though she's not listening now, I will tell her.
All right. Well,
I told the world how much I love her, and I thank her for sticking with me for more than 54 years. I don't know how or why she did it, but raised our 4 children. Now we have 8 grandchildren, so we are truly blessed. So, Marzella, if you ever listen to this, this is your husband saying thank you for being the greatest mother in the world, with the possible exception of Alice Yancey, my mother, who passed away a long time ago, but raised 9 children with my dad.
Wow.
And had more than 37 grands when she passed. But she was also a community activist. She established a cleaning program on 7th Street, established a playground, which later became a garden. She founded the Women's Improvement League, serving on the board of directors, what was then the MAMLEO cities. And she did so much that the community meeting room in Mattapan was named in her honor.
Wow. Well, that's great.
So, to all the mothers out there.
Absolutely. And that's why I said in this hour, folks, if you want to call in, and just like Councilor Yancey, his lovely wife, and his late mom, as mine as well, we're saying we let opportunity for people to say that, because you're right, they're the unsung heroes. But Councilor, it's perfect that you called in, because I think, you have probably been one of the staunch supporters of not just MAMLEO, but the citizens here in Boston. And I think your departure opened the door for a lot of talk and not action, right? Because, again, you have had many hearings on this. There's an order for a hearing to audit the city of Boston's hiring, firing, promotion policies, practices, and procedures. You've been one of the few councilors who have held their feet to the fire with real data and had pushed this issue your time in office and even outside of office. And what you're reflecting on, that here we are still dealing with the same matters, and they're getting worse, and it doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency when it comes to and like I said, the city of Boston is one of the largest employers, not just in the city. It is the largest in the city for the most part, but in the state, over 17,000 people are employed with taxpayer funds. This is not a private company run by the mayor and her staff, the police commissioner. I didn't work for the police commissioner. I worked for the citizens of Boston. They were the appointing authority. They were in charge of the city, and in charge of the police department, but my responsibility was to the people I took an oath, to the citizens of Boston. And yet we're still seeing this unfair practice, not just in the police department, because you highlighted as well, in all city agencies we're underrepresented.
Yes. Well, first of all, I understand your frustration, but I was elected in 1983 after running for city council in 79 and 81. And one of the reasons I was so persistent in running and then serving was because of those issues were not being effectively addressed. And even after I was elected, there were many occasions where department heads would boycott my hearings with the encouragement of whoever the mayor was at the time, including Mayor Walsh, when his police commissioner for the first time refused to participate in some of the final hearings I held on the issue of employment within the police department. I pointed out all the great disparities that existed. But one of the issues that compelled me to run for office in the first place had to do with public safety. The city has a very important responsibility of establishing a safe environment for everyone. And one of the early fights I participated in was to build a police station, of all things.
Yeah, Mattapan.
Because we only had a trailer on the corner of Morton and Blue
Sure.
to serve as a so-called police outpost in our community. And I was highly incensed about it, and we fought. That battle was with Ray Flynn. We eventually won that battle, but it took a couple of years to build the police station.
As well as the library.
Yeah. So there's been progress in that area, and ever since 1984, I filed legislation to create civilian review boards to let the police officers know that they have to be accountable to all the residents of Boston, and they should not be serving as a foreign force of occupation in the black community, but had to be accountable to it. So it took many years. In fact, the closest we came to a civilian review board, as Jamal Crawford would tell you, was probably after I left office, even though I had pending legislation even then, after 32 years. That was finally implemented in some form. So I point that out, Larry, to say that in spite of all of the disappointment, in spite of all the frustration, there has been some progress. Now, getting to the issue that you raised earlier about the diversity in the police department, there have been fits and starts. Most of the mayoralties. I mean, Ray Flynn made a few appointments of people of color. The key positions, the first black treasurer was appointed by Ray Flynn. First black auditor was appointed by Ray Flynn. And then, of course, when Tom Menino took over, he did a few positive things as well. And Walsh deserves some credit for appointing the first African-American police commissioner. Symbolically, that was very important. Now, the people who were selected, may...
Well, see, that's the point Counselor, is that there has really been no consultation with the community as to, just find black people. Like I said, all your skin folks ain't your kin folks. Finding people in there, because I had a harder time with our former police commissioner than I did with some of the other folks who didn't look like him, and I wasn't going to sit by and just allow him to do what I wouldn't allow others to do. So this is what I'm saying, is that those other folks had consulted with the community as to who they wanted these leaders to be. There was some talk, didn't always get what they wanted, but now we find out in the paper, we find out through a press release that they're bringing someone in that people really don't have a connection with. And that's not how it doesn't work well for us, and it doesn't usually bode well for us if people are chosen to be in positions to supposedly represent us who don't have a track record of doing so.
Well, I certainly respect that, and I'm not going to necessarily criticize the mayor for her most recent appointment. I do know Cavallo, and
I do too, and that's why I'm speaking.
When he ran for District 4 City Council, based on policy issues. I mean, he supported rent control, which I supported, and he had a little more of a track record than the person who was elected, Councilor Well. But I share your concern. I mean, we have to try to find people who are willing to make the sacrifices to even risk their job,
right,
work so hard to get, to advance the issues facing our community. And today, it's sad to say that even in the highest paid positions in both the public and the private sectors, that people of color are not effectively represented. I mean, there's been progress.
Yeah.
But one of the things that concern me of the Walsh administration is that he began his service in 2014. He had the opportunity to appoint police officers. In fact, he appointed 36 police officers in his young term at the time. And of those 36 officers that Marty Walsh appointed, 27 were white, 1 was Asian, 3 were black, 5 was Latino. And if you do the math on that, that means 75% of all the new police officers appointed by the then newly elected Marty Walsh were white in a city that was 53% people of color.
Right.
So
the numbers are growing, but
we can applaud
right.
the appointment of a black commissioner, but the issue around diversification and representation in the police department itself,
we've got a lot of work to do. Councilor Stimmer, I want to bring Siddiqui into that. I know because there's been a paramount shift moment here this morning.
A seismic shift.
Seismic shift. In that he and Jamal have been in agreement, and so I want to get him to weigh in on that. Good morning, Siddiqui.
Good morning, all. Well, first of all, let me just say...
are you calling from the bat phone or the flip phone?
Don't make fun of my flip phone.
Smithsonian.
The Smithsonian.
He got that from Obama. Leave him alone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Have your fun. Anyhow, let me just say, first of all, want to wish all the moms there Happy Mother's Day, because my hero is my mom's.
Yeah,
in terms of the way she dedicated her life.
Absolutely.
To myself and my brother.
Yeah.
And then also, let me just say that I had a Star Trek moment today.
Okay.
You know how you wake up in the morning?
You think you're still dreaming, right?
and you start reflecting about the dreams that you had.
Yeah.
And it was really odd because I believe it was a dream because I heard, this brother Jamal Crawford saying that he agreed with Siddiqui about something. And so I said, man, that was a phenomenal, that was a dream, right?
That was a blur.
No, that was reality.
Hey, not for nothing, Siddiqui. Hold your hat, because I got another one for you.
Okay.
And literally, Councilor Yancey, thank you for calling. Because literally, the work that was done on the Boston Police Reform Task Force, I mean, I was just a wee little whippersnapper. Back in the day, as Councilor Yancey said, he was doing this since '83, right? 1989 was when we was all on stage when Mandela came to Boston, and I was born in '71. So my point is that this is a continuation of work, even in the case where me and Siddiqui do not agree on a bunch of stuff, but we damn sure agreed on police reform and civilian review board and accountability and orders. So all of the work that was done later, trust and believe that I carried on everything that was done in the room. And I'll also give another shout out too to quote unquote, before the term white allies was created in this mix as well. Also too, some of the people from ACLU over the years who chimed in. 2 of those women who are now dead, but Miss Sarah Wunsch and Nancy Murray as well. So there was a lot of people involved in this thing, and finally we got the ball over the touchdown line. There's still work to do because it still ain't perfect.
But see,
Jamal,
that goes to my
Yancey and Siddiqui were both instrumental.
Right, and I thank you for
civilian review board and all that.
Right, but so Jamal, I thank you for highlighting, but it goes to the point that I was trying to make earlier. And Dr. Bradley, I want to get you and Rhodes' perspective on this. I'm saying is that having the right people in these positions. Like, we go back and people, I remember people talking about Billy Celeste, right? And the reason why people, it wasn't the stars on his shoulder. He wasn't a perfect man, but what I knew about him, he was going to get in there and fight for us, right? And that's what I don't see now, is that people get in there and they're there for their own selfish reasons. I don't blame people for wanting to elevate themselves, but that it can't just be about that. And as the council alluded to, taking a chance, it's like, okay, the message is loud and clear. If you are one of those folks who are going to be advocating for anything other than yourself, we don't want to hear from you. We don't have any room for you at this end. And we go along with that because we say, okay, we'll accept someone in there. Like, the people will call me after someone's put in a position and asking me who they are. And these are prominent people. If they don't know who they are, that in itself is a problem. We never had people elevated to leadership in the police department without Councilor Yancey and Senator Owens and others advocating for them, because they knew they were going to be there as a watchdog for us and making sure that our interest was represented. We let them get away with that now. Boston is not as progressive as it pretends it is, because the numbers and the action don't show. Like you said, Councilor Yancey, we've been having these hearings forever. Gentlemen,
am I still on?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Well, let me just say. Well, first of all, let me just say that for me, in terms of Jamal's, it's never been personal, because I know he's always been working hard at it. But let me just say this: when I hear this whole thing about giving credit where credit is due, my reputation is one of being anti-police, and I tell people it's about being anti-wrong. I mean, Deputy, I call him Deputy Fleming, Dr. Fleming. He and I have been friends forever. Our daughters grew up together.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? So let me just say, when we talk about Nubian Square, I got to give credit to B2. Now, there was a captain there. I know he's a white guy. I didn't know it. But anyway, we worked on an agreement, I think I explained before, where if there were trouble spots, I just had to call 911. They dispatch somebody, turn the blue light. And then Captain Hussein, this has been going on for about a year now, has carried on that program. So what it is that it's interesting, and I know that Dr. Bradley understands the whole thing about doing a dissertation. I've had an opportunity to, you go through the square all the time, but I've had a chance to actually observe them, and they're a community unto themselves.
Right.
I'll give you an example of what's going on in terms of why it's playing up down there. I know
the captain you're talking about is Captain Cogvin, and I think he was excellent down there. And this is where it's saying he was someone who was committed to the community, just like you saw him out there, someone I had a lot of respect for, and he worked with the community. But that's what I'm saying, is that is a rare find. The community was a little upset. They didn't at first. They were hesitant when he came there, but then he proved to the community. But this is what I'm saying, is a lot of folks go to there other than himself. Most people go there if they don't look like their only mission is to get out of there. They're not invested in the community.
Well, Captain Hussein has carried on that tradition. He's been doing a good job.
You guys
there.
have been lucky, yes.
I'll give you an example in terms of them being their own community down there. So 80% of them folks down there are just hustlers. Mm-hmm. And there's 20% probably needed the services around addiction. But yesterday, for instance, I came through and there was a whole crew hanging out there where the buses come out there by the convenience store and the liquor store. Called 911, and some plain clothes came down. They weren't aggressive. They just told folks they had to disperse. They went across the street over there to where they didn't go over there to the Nubian Ocean side because they knew that somebody would come over there. So they went there where the T station is, and the T police approached them very peacefully, saying, y'all got to go, blah, blah, blah. So all I wanted to say is that the police have done a great job down there. They haven't been overly aggressive. They just approached these. So these folks, they're not sure where to go now. So that's why they're not there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm giving credit where credit is due in terms of the cooperation.
That's the way it should work.
Has been given.
That's the way it should work with the community. We work for you. That's what I'm saying. This shouldn't be earth shattering. This shouldn't be. It should be
normal.
Right.
It should be normal behavior.
And I'm glad that you're highlighting that, because what you're saying is that it's working. And the reason why it works, because that is the message from the top. That was the message from Captain Cogvin, that you will not be disrespectful of these people in this community. That has been the message from Captain Hussein, that will not be tolerated. That was the message from Billy Celeste when he was there, right? We work for the community. We're in partnership with them. Like I said, not a perfect man, but that's what I'm saying. And let me just say this about Jamal, because I think it doesn't get enough. Is that when I first met Jamal, that was a narrative that he was anti-police. He was, police wanted to have this policy where they could get permission from parents and go and search people. And he asked, could he have a meeting at MAMLEO? He held it up there. As far as I really got to know him, he and I work very closely in the community. So I don't think anti-police. I'm the same as I'm anti-police misbehavior. I think we all should be in agreement with that, and then push back on that, whether we're on the inside or not. That has been my stance from the beginning, and you pay a price for that. Dr. Bradley, when you were part of the command staff, you owned it.
Yeah, I always said that I'm anti-police. I'm anti-bad policing.
Right.
Yeah.
Period. I'm anti-bad policing. I don't care who you are or what you look like. When you are actually using your authority to abuse the community, then I'm anti your behavior as a police officer. Right. Period.
Counselor, before we let you go, this hearing, any advice for us, because we're starting to see things regress in a way that is alarming, and we're seeing the numbers start to go in the wrong direction. Any advice for folks today on how we navigate this politically?
Well, you talking about me?
No, Counselor Yancey.
Oh.
First of all, I think it's very important to shed light on the realities that we're facing. We can't put our heads in the sand.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant, right?
That's right. So I encourage the Boston City Council to use its authority to host those hearings, but also to follow up with significant legislative and policy proposals. That's what the Civilian Review Board was all about. And they also have the tools of the budget. Now, the city's budget is in excess of $4 billion, an unimaginable number back in the 1980s and 90s. And that represents real power. And the mayor cannot spend one penny without the approval of the Boston City Council.
Yeah.
So I ask the members of the City Council to just stand up and just do their job. If they have that authority on the general budget, they should use it and pressure the administration, if necessary, to focus on a lot of these issues, especially the issue of public services and diversity within the ranks of the police department and every other city department, but not just the rank and file, but the higher level positions, the higher paid positions.
Right. Well,
that's going to have a real economic impact as well as a political one.
Right, and I think to what's really troubling for me is that with Mayor Wu, because when she ran for mayor, one of the things she said, one of the reasons why she was running is because as a city councilor, as a president of the council, that she felt like she wasn't being heard, she felt like she wasn't being seen. And I talked to a lot of people in the community, including myself, who feel like she is now portraying that on others. Is that the same thing? Like, folks voted, they wanted to have an elected school committee. It's like they're not being heard. They're saying that they want certain things in the community. They're not being heard. So she's projecting on other folks what she said she didn't want done to her, and I think it's a little hypocritical. And I think folks have to be called out. There's been a lot of good things that have happened to this mayor, but there are a lot of things that a lot of it has been symbolic and not really game changing. Our schools are still in disarray.
Yes.
And you're talking about that budget, Counselor. Almost $1.4 billion of that budget goes to our schools. A declining population and a declining learning is taking place there. Counselor, thank you, sir. I want to take up much more of your day. We definitely have to get you on here soon.
Thank you
and happy Mother's Day.
Your work, and I want to thank Brother Siddiqui, who I've known for more than 40 years now. You're getting old there, Siddiqui, and for Brother Jamal for all his work. And even Reverend Hobbs, who's in the background.
Yes, sir.
He's done wonderful things for the city in raising the issue of human rights for those who are incarcerated, and dealing with so many other issues effectively behind the scenes.
Very little help from our elected officials. Thank you, Counselor, and again, a happy Mother's Day to your lovely wife and your late mom. We said, I know they've been an inspiration to you,
and
without them, there would be no
your wife and significant others as well.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you, and enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome anytime. So, back to As the World Turns.
It's turning, brother. It's turning.
Jamal and Siddiqui. So, again, I think sometimes folks see criticism. I'm always in favor of constructive criticism, and I think you can't be an elected official and be worrying about people disagreeing with you, because we pay your salary. Just like people used to tell me, oh, you work for me, I pay your salary. I always used to tell them first, let's negotiate a raise because I'm working hard for it. But I say that in jest, but the things are not much better for us, just symbolic things. And maybe folks will figure out that's all they need to give us, like they're shutting down the streets and having these things. I was talking to Pastor Hobbs on the way in. I'm like, a lot of people find it inconvenient when they can't get down Dot Ave, because you shut it down for something.
And where they're going to park the cars the night before and get clear the streets and everything, so people are very,
Yeah, but you said something that just struck me. You said things are not changing, but symbolic things. Mm-hmm. Why would the change be of substance when you don't vote, though?
That's
why would I just give you symbolic changes when I can't rely on you to come out and vote?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's a great point.
I think the other part of it is that if you want me to make significant changes in your community for your betterment, then it's a transaction. I hate to say that, but that's the reality. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do for me? Right. What are you going to do for me when it comes down to, competing for this position so I can continue to make those changes?
And not only what can you do for me, but if you can't do anything to me.
Yeah, well, that's the other side of it. That's more powerful. But I mean, but I bring this, I highlight that because I think it's important for people that's listening to us who are people of color who may ask the question, I don't feel like, or I don't have the time to go out and pull that level. The fact that you said, and I have done this as well as a police officer, have been in doing the poll or providing security protocol and look at the participation rate among our people. It's completely low. But this is the net result of that.
Yes.
This is what happens when you refuse to come out and pull the level. Why should I give you anything other than symbolic changes?
Yeah. Jamal, you want to weigh in on that? I think we have Russ.
Yeah, I mean, well, so, this is, psychological, sociological, but, the threat and the reward, the carrot or the stick, you know what I mean? And sometimes I think that most of our people are so disengaged and distracted that they don't feel the threat, and they don't see the benefits and the reward.
Right.
So they're just unplugged.
Right. And see, to speak to that, and whatever side of the aisle you come down on with T. Michael Thomas is the People's Academy, right? To say that that the community wouldn't benefit from having a program, a training program in our community, right? Especially with all the growth taking place here in the state, in the city of Boston as well, that has not been able to get the support that it needs to get that going. That's why I talk about the symbolism rather than substance, right? When people, I know a lot of people have been trying to get funding for real valuable programs, and then I see these charlatans getting money. Like now we have a problem now. They're saying we're in a financial deficit coming up because that COVID money has dried up, right? And so now people who were even on the margins of maybe getting assistance will never see it. And I don't know what's going to happen with the charlatans. But again, I think when we felt like we were all in this together, and now we've broken off and saying it's every man or woman for themselves, instead of us pushing the people who are really advocating for us, because I still see those same people struggling. I mean, people who actually really want to do it, and then you see, like I said, this is me speaking, someone like Evandro getting that position, and then I ask people like, Sophia Hall and the director, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his brother's name, who folks in Rasan Hall, did you get a call? Were you even considered for these positions?
Well, once again, those people had other things cooking. Sophia is not leaving the lawyers committee.
We don't know that, right? I mean,
no, we do know that. We do know that, and we also know that Yvonne will fight you in the street for her. So, he ain't gonna let Michael Jordan go off the Chicago Bulls. You kidding me?
No, but what I'm saying is that those folks don't even get approached, whether they decline or not. Right? They don't get approached. I mean,
I don't know. I think many people were aware.
Yeah.
The first go around.
Yeah.
I think many people were aware, but the people that was aware, to use that sports analogy, people wasn't moving off of whatever team they was on, and it just wasn't enough.
Right, but to that point, Jamal, when they had the search committee out for a new police commissioner, right? The fact that for me was a disqualifier when you had Ed Davis, the person who not only the MAMLEO, the NAACP took a vote of no confidence against, but also even for historically the first time I can recall that the Patrolmen's Association took a vote of no confidence. Someone who, and the reason why we did it is because it kind of ties into what we're talking about here today, is that he promoted white officers over black officers to the rank of sergeant when he could have promoted a more diverse group of people, and he retracted that after the public pressure on him to do so, that he promoted these folks. That this is someone who's part of the consultation for the new leadership.
I think he's someone who's actually orchestrating the decisions around the current leadership. That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, I love Michael.
His chief of staff is the attorney who brought a lot of this harm and this pain to black officers.
Yeah. Mike Cox is good people. He's good people in my opinion. But I don't see some of the things you're saying. I'm hurt. You can see it in my face. You know what I mean? I'm hurt because I really hold him in a very high esteem. But I can hear Ed Davis saying, this is what we need to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't make any sense to me, Larry, that you would cut this list at this point in the process.
We have a female now who she's a sergeant. She's a female sergeant, right? Who is currently in this group. They could have made her lieutenant several months ago now, right? They've been holding something over her head in her file for years.
Oh, that's a trick. That's an old trick.
Exactly.
It's old.
We have not. Zero is the number. Yeah. 0 black female lieutenants in the Boston Police Department. You have an opportunity to make one. I think there's only been 2 that come to mind: Flo Creed and Nora Baston, who doesn't even serve in her role as she's a superintendent. You have an opportunity to promote this woman, and you keep up coming with these, and you have people who have worse issues that they had, and you've resolved them so they could be promoted. This is what I'm talking about. This is the internal stuff that the public should know. What's happening to us by someone that looks like us, because this makes no sense. She's the only one that could be promoted, a black female sergeant to lieutenant, and she's being denied that position over something that could have been resolved a long time. And you keep it open for the purpose of not promoting her.
For convenience. Yeah.
This is great. I mean, what they did to Captain Hussein, and the reason why he's down there is because they had him on the sideline for over 2 years claiming he did something, and then what was the end result? Nothing. They just basically derailed his career. Nothing. For 2 years. And cost him financially to sit on the sideline so he couldn't work overtime and details for 2 years. And yet we have a captain while on duty, drive out to Milton, give his wife what for, and gets arrested in the police car, and still haven't heard any issues as to what. Can you explain that again to me? What did he do? He on duty in his police car? Oh yeah, it's on duty in his police car. Went out to Milton, gave his ex-wife a little bit of what for, and he was arrested. What for? What for is the 209A. You know what the what for is. Right, 209A. And he gets arrested out there while on duty in his police car, and yet didn't miss a day of work, maybe a couple of days, but he was put on duty. So he was allowed to continue to come in, generate overtime without a firearm, while Captain Hussein sat on the sideline for over 2.5 years. And again, these things need to be sanitized. These things need to be brought to sunlight, because that's an abuse of power.
Same song and dance.
Yeah,
that's not
wow. That's just not right.
Here's a fun, not so fun fact. Wow. If y'all remember the incident in Baltimore, where the brother got killed in the back of the day, the rough ride, right?
Yes. Gray.
At that point, as an activist, what I found interesting here in Boston was the big thing. And Baltimore is a city that is about our same population, albeit much more blacker, right?
Yes. Yep.
But what I found interesting, one of the first things that the press picked up is they said via Baltimore police, also BPD, right? That they had cost the taxpayers, their total was $40 million. And that rung to me. I was like, wow, this is a big thing for them. BPD, their Baltimore Police Department, has cost the taxpayers $40 million based off of all their shenanigans, right? And I'm thinking in Boston, I'm like, I could do 3 or 4 cases and get to $40 million.
Well, Jamal, you're right on target, and that's why I always frame it as taxpayer-funded discrimination, because just the lawsuits here from the hair test, and then
right, that's what I'm saying. Wrongful death, wrongful incarceration.
Right. But
old girl Vanessa Snellgrove, who got killed with the pepper spray gun. You got the other dude. Just those two.
Just
two
in
cases
trial
of the
right
white
before
people.
on Netflix.
And David Wilcox. That's like $23 million right there.
Right, but Jamal, let's take it even further. Let's take it even outside of that realm, right? The Chantel Charles, right? The $1 million plus there, right? I mean, and other people of color who work for the city who had to sue. So that's what I'm saying. They're not immune from this, but I want to get Siddiqui, because Siddiqui, you talk about your positive relationship with Captain Hussein. You had a positive relationship with Captain Kogovan. I can tell you now, Captain Hussein can pull a switch any day now. Any day now,
He
right?
came on with me.
Exactly, and he's close to where he has to, whether he wants to or not, right? And I'm not telling his age because it's no secret. I say this because there is no one in the pipeline to be promoted that looks like Captain Hussein and that's probably going to act in the same way that he is. So this is why it's important. Like when we were pushing Mayor Wu to put deputy superintendents back in charge of the district station, so at least we could have some representation at the leadership, right? That has not happened. They give us this symbolic stuff, right, where they have this zone commander, but it's not the day-to-day operation like when you had the Billy Celesters in those stations running the stations. We saw that. So that's what I was used to, and that's what worked for us. Once Captain Hussein is gone, Siddiqui, you'll be calling in saying, where did they find these people? Because you will not get the same commitment from somebody. You might get it for a few weeks from the excitement of being there, but most of them that go to B2, B3, their only mission is to get out of there. Do we lose Siddiqui? So this is why, if the community doesn't think this is just a police matter, it is not. It is going to impact the community and the relationship. You know why you guys have that good relationship with the MBTA? You know why? You know why the officers like that? Because Superintendent Sullivan, Richie Sullivan, and Chief Kenneth Green from the MBTA, who I've worked with over the years very, very closely, Chief Sullivan attends that community meeting every Wednesday, and I see him all around the community. He's the second in command, and they have terminated officers for inappropriate behavior, regardless of race. They've held everyone accountable, including themselves. And that message
He's a
is
solid
loud.
dude.
That's right.
Yes,
exactly. Yes. That's why it's loud and clear. See, you see what I'm saying? So this is why I'm not surprised when you're talking about why these officers, because I had training sessions here. I brought in folks for this lieutenant from Las Vegas. We had a training session at MAMLEO. Chief Green and Superintendent Sullivan sent all of their new recruits to attend that training on how to de-escalate, and it was very positive. It was in conjunction with the Children's Hospital. You know what I mean? People from the Academy BPD sent?
Donut.
0.
Is this while Eddie Crispin was there?
No, Eddie wasn't there at the time. But I'm saying
right.
We sent the notice out to BPD. Superintendent Cullinane sent it out to folks and volunteer. That should have been a mandatory. The MBT, they took their officers off the street, showed up with their training officers, and sat through this workshop.
Okay.
So the FTOs were there.
Yes.
So what FTOs does Boston has?
Yeah, well,
Boston doesn't. That's my point. My point is the whole process is bad. The fact that Boston would not, the major police department in the region, would not send officers to that training is absolutely appalling.
This is what I'm saying. But that's my point.
No, that's the whole thing of like that. If you want to avoid police shootings or whatever, having that training is so vital, and it's so vital to being able to be in the community effectively, and then so people can approach you because they know that they can trust
vital. Rhodes, is the people at the top. If you know your boss is not going to allow that type of behavior, right?
Yeah.
The people at the top, you're going to be held accountable.
And then, so what's the thing about the city being sued for all these egregious acts that are being?
They don't care. The taxpayers pay.
Exactly. So, is there a way where it's like the I don't know, like the elected officials can be held responsible?
No, they have an immunity for themselves, right? Because unless you can show where they have done it intentionally, which is, it's very difficult because of their elected positions, right? But people don't hold them accountable at the ballot box because, again, this is taxpayer fund. So when your taxes are going up and you're paying more for your property taxes because like you
got to
said,
pay for lawsuits.
You're spending out. Look at the recent lawsuits, and look who they've been. Right, award. There was a white female lieutenant, right? I think almost $2 million. Another white female sergeant, right? $2.5 million, right? Another white female lieutenant, $1 million plus, right? So you see, and then it's people of color who are bringing. You see
who's paying the money,
right? But also who is being targeted: women and people of color, right? So again, those folks are no longer are not welcome, and you have to go through this litigation. And on average, they take 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I hear you.
So
I think Dr. Siddiqui was going to say
yeah,
something.
go ahead, Siddiqui.
Yeah, well, let me just say something. I would just want to close by talking about the mayor, and then also about an announcement, because you mentioned People's Academy. But the bottom line is that I would hope that someday that you'll do a show on the Wu administration.
We do it every week.
They are
Just so
horrendous.
Yes,
horrendous. Now, you're talking about the White Stadium situation, Shattuck Hospital, the whole thing about the Center Lane and Will Hill Avenue, and of course we won't get into the whole thing around the O'Brien High School and that situation.
But she'll easily be reelected.
And the bottom line is that she has a plantation mentality in terms of how she deals with our community, and we tolerate that. So I'm hoping that the door will be open for folks to say, wait a minute, Mayor Wu, you can't continue. So I think that whole term, people of color, is overrated because of the fact that we're the ones that employ it all the time, but nobody else. Like when we talk about Dr. King and Gandhi, he adopted his policy of nonviolence, but Gandhi said that black people were animalistic and had no intelligence. So from my perspective, it's overrated. The Wu administration is horrendous and needs to be held accountable. And then I'll just close this by saying that the Black Information Center, we're going to be doing our 37th annual Malcolm X Memorial Breakfast on the 18th of May at the Reggie Lewis Center there, co-sponsored by the Roxbury Community College. And one of the awardees is going to be People's Academy.
Okay.
So that we want folks to know it's at 8 o'clock. You can go to www.blackinfonow.org or come to the door 8 o'clock a.m. to participate in a wonderful
So that's next
event.
Saturday, right, Siddiqui?
Yes, sir, the 18th.
So are you able to call into the broadcast live and just give us an update, and so we can push it out Saturday morning, or someone that can call in while it's taking place will be here?
Yeah, well, no problem. I can do that. No problem. So.
Okay, we'll do that. And you know how they say, like, when something happens and they say breaking news, breaking news, that Siddiqui and now I'm going to say we now return to our regularly scheduled programming. So you guys can go back to your corners and come out fighting.
Unfortunately,
all right, thanks, Siddiqui. Appreciate it.
I will not be able to be here next week.
I'll
be in Chicago.
Windy
Shortly
City.
after this year, I'll be there for the whole week. Trying to get the show ready, but I will be listening to this because I think Sadiq is right on target. We need to recognize those individuals in our community who are actually doing something for our community.
Right, and see, but here's the thing: is like people like Jamal, don't do it for recognition.
Yeah.
It goes under the radar. He said many times, because people thought, now that I wasn't working, I wasn't going to still have my commitment to the citizens here in Boston. This is where I grew up. This is home for me. Like Minister Don used to say, I sleep someplace else, but this is home to me. And that's a personal choice because you also want to be able to have some peace of mind. But Jamal knows, just like him, we can count on each other. There is no adversary relationship. We can agree to disagree on issues. It's not personal. Some people take it personal. Like, you've been in leadership in the police department. You still, it's that if people don't agree with you, you don't say, okay, you're getting an F.
No, you don't.
You hear them out.
You hear them out. I mean, but again, and I think I use Dr. King's analogy is that little white, a little black piece in the washing machine. You have to have the agitation. You have to have that pushback.
Right.
Because if you don't have that pushback, then nothing's going to be actually gained.
Right.
So you want that.
Right.
I'm sorry, someone's trying
to
speak.
Jamal. Yeah, go ahead, Jamal. You want to?
No, I was just going to say. So, for instance, here goes some of the differentials, right? So everybody can have their own critique or whatever. I'm a stickler. Like, I want to be real careful with language. So, for instance, when Siddiqui just says, Mayor Wu has a plantation mentality.
Right. I wouldn't go that far, right? Yeah, right.
And see, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I think that's unfair.
I'm gonna stay on issues and I'd be specific about.
Right. So you could disagree with this, that, the other.
Right.
Yeah, but so when we use that type of, because that's like charged language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when we do that, whatever, and once again, that lady can defend herself. She is more than capable of defending herself. Another person you should invite on or whatever. But when I hear these type of things, and then some of what I believe is like racially divisive, in terms of like, you know, well, the people of color thing. I mean, once again, if I've said it before, but you know, my daughter is black and Asian. Hello, I'm the black part. You know what I'm saying? My daughter is black and Filipino. But even in that mix, that blender, that means she's Jamaican, Cape Verdean, two types of Native American, regular black, and Filipino.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Welcome to America.
Right.
You dig?
But so Jamal,
how are we going to divide that up?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't. But this is what has happened is that we've all got into a camp. I had a meeting with some folks the other day, and folks are starting to realize, right, that they'll tell you that the reason why we can't do for this population is because we got to do for this one, and then we all get caught in that trap, and so then we start hating Rose because he's Haitian. We start hating this one because they're Jamaican, or this one because they say okay, and folks fall, and they're realizing that because I've talked to folks down in Chinatown because people are shocked that you have relationship with folks in other parts of the city, and it's no better for them.
Yeah. But brother, I want to put something out here,
Sure.
a book out here that I want to recommend that you read that talks about what you're talking about. Henry Louis Gates just wrote a book titled "The Black Box."
Okay.
Read it.
The Black Box?
The Black Box.
Okay.
It's an easy read, but it gives you a very good history around what happened to us when at birth, when you have to check that box, black or not. What are the connotations that come along with that, and how much of what different degrees of blood from other cultures that make us up.
Yeah.
You know, America is consisting of as a population of
and
mixture.
folks seeing in real time,
Yes,
right? What the
yes.
orange man is saying he wants to do
Yes.
to us. It's not talking about that one population.
Yeah.
And as folks said, I was listening earlier when they coming in and saying that, look, this is very reminiscent of Hitler. And when Hitler said, and people said, he's not going to do those things. He's just talking, right? He's not, and we are regressing.
Yeah.
Faster than any of the progress that we have. We have a Supreme Court who doesn't see that somehow this has always been fair, and you just have to get out there and try harder. You know, Dr. Bradley, you're probably one of the most intelligent people I know. You have gotten and accomplished more than most people would. And yet, is it easy for you to get into some of these prominent universities to teach? Or do you think that there's still a prohibition of what you look like?
It's a prohibition of what I look like. Even in places where I have gone, I've been told, well, we wanted you to do this, and you want me to do that, but my colleagues who do not look like me have not done those things, but they're still there. Right. So, I mean, the institutions are already graduate towards people who do not look like us.
Right. And Rose, you're a financial consultant. Do you find it harder to get people to trust, to think that you have the knowledge and the wherewithal and the intelligence to advise them financially compared to someone that don't look like you who can't even read the Wall Street Journal?
It's funny, but okay, I can get people's, I can get some of my family's trust.
Yeah.
But outside of my family,
Yeah.
people that look like us,
Yeah.
don't trust me.
Yeah.
And people that don't look like it.
Yeah. Jamal, we got a couple of minutes. We got another call. I don't want to hold you up. Any final marks? Any happy Mother's Day you want to put out?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, let me just say this because y'all been talking about T. Michael Thomas a lot. I heard T. Michael Thomas is Donald Trump's hairdresser.
Okay. Oh, is there some of that copper in there?
Yes.
You dig? Okay.
Oh my God! All right, brother. Oh my God.
You get it?
Yeah, we got it.
Let it sink in.
That's probably what happened to us. All right, thank you, brother. I'll see you in the morning. All right. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable. We've got 2 minutes. It's all yours. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend Peterson.
Oh, man. Everybody's calling this morning. Good morning.
Everybody's calling in today.
Yeah.
MAMLEO
Doctor's
Saturday
back
morning
and
is the
Rose
place
is
to
here.
go. I'm calling in to just invite the listeners of Boston Praise Radio to our reparations hearing next week, next Saturday, May 18th, 10 a.m. at the Bruce Bowling Building. First community-led, community-controlled reparations hearing in the history of the city of Boston. We're asking people to come out, speak out about reparations, testify, 2 minutes.
Well, I'm going to say the same thing I said to Siddiqui. Because, can you call in? I mean, we'll definitely push it out there. But can someone call in that morning just so we can remind people in real time?
Yeah,
what's taking
absolutely,
place? Okay.
absolutely. We can have. I could probably stop in for 15 minutes.
That's even better.
To enhance the announcement. But I wanted to put it out there a week ahead of time for you folks to get your listeners to get
our
organized.
span is very short when it comes to.
And I just wanted to kind of like harp on the point that he was making earlier in regards to where we are right now. But bottom line is, it's like 400 years of oppression. It's a system, and then we've only like.
We are up against the clock. Kevin, come in next week. We'll get that up to you. Dr. Bradley, close us out.
Be blessed.
Right. You've been listening at the Round Table, MAMLEO.
And be blessed.
Thank you.
Amen.
Cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle. So if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always.